I knew I shouldn't have taken that extra shift. The colony admin's been clamping down on late work hours ever since the last atmospheric breach report. The outside air's barely breathable, toxic in spots. It thins out your blood, makes your vision blur, makes people see things. So they made it illegal to work past curfew without direct clearance. If you miss the last transport, you get hit with 2 fines, one for violating curfew and another for calling the emergency shuttle. Expensive, embarrassing, reputation killing, but the overtime was too good, and I really thought I could make it in time. I got to the transport stop just as the clock blinked 23:40. The last shuttle had left 10 minutes ago. The platform lights were dimmed, flickering in and out. Colony policy: keep the streets dark, deter wandering. I was about to curse out loud. I already had my phone out scanning a route from pod to pod. Oxygenated checkpoints. Longer than the direct path home, but safer. Legal. Barely. Just as I was committing to the walk, I noticed someone else already standing there. Quiet. Still. Positioned right near the gate. For a second, relief washed over me. Maybe they called the emergency shuttle. Maybe I could tag along, split the cost. Better half the fine than the full hit. I stepped forward and called out, "Hey, you waiting for the emergency shuttle?" No response. I tried again, walking a few steps closer. "Hey, you know, if you already called it, I can pay you half. Just let me ride with you." I stopped mid-sentence, mid-step. The closer I got, the more I could see of him. Of it. He wasn't moving, not even slightly. He stood too still, arms straight at his sides, head slightly tilted, facing away from me, completely motionless. Not breathing, not swaying in the breeze. Not who. The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end. I stepped back, unable to shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. My gut twisted, my body screamed. Every part of me said, "Leave. Now." I turned, shoved my phone back in my pocket, and started walking. Fast. I didn't need to rethink the route. I just needed to follow it, and stay out of the darkness. I left the dome of the transport stop and stepped into the open streets. Instantly my chest tightened. The air was thin, my breath shallow. I could manage it in bursts between stations. As I walked, my mind wouldn't let go of what I saw. That figure, that shape. Wrong proportions, elongated limbs. The way the light didn't quite sit right on it. It looked like a shadow drawn by someone who didn't understand how people stand. And then it hit me, something I hadn't thought about in years, something from orientation day, a safety video. Warnings about the wildlife outside the colony perimeter. Creatures adapted to hunt in the dark, to mimic, to blend. I couldn't remember the specifics, but the word that popped into my brain was imitators. I felt a pit in my stomach. No, that thing back there. It couldn't be. The walls are sealed, the perimeter is monitored. But I walked faster. I reached the next stop. Oxygen flooded into my lungs. I took a deep breath. I turned to glance behind me. He was there. Same figure, same distance. Still motionless, still watching. Except I never heard footsteps. I never heard him follow. He just appeared. I backed into the pod, hands shaking, breath catching. I waited, watched. Nothing. I moved on. Every checkpoint now, he was there. Never inside the pods. Always waiting just outside. Just far enough to remain unclear. Always facing away. Like he was letting me leave. Like he wanted me to keep going. Halfway home, I darted through an alley past a series of sealed parking lots, desperate for a shortcut toward my house. The thin air burned my lungs. That's when it hit me. A smell. Sharp and unnatural. Acrid, wet, with a metallic sting. Like something rotting inside a machine. The alley narrowed, one wall running directly alongside the colony wall. As I moved forward, I noticed something leaning up against the wall, a large storage crate wedged tightly into place, and beneath it, glowing faintly in the dark, a slow ooze of green liquid seeped out, steaming lightly in the air. The smell was coming from there. Every instinct told me to walk away. But the path forward bent just around that crate, and it was still the fastest way home. I reached out, hands trembling, pushed the barrier aside. It screeched as it moved, then toppled. It was a hole, a massive gaping wound in the colony wall. I stumbled backwards so fast I hit the opposite side of the alley. The metal hadn't bent or broken. It had melted, sagging like candle wax, slick and glistening. The edges hissed where the acid still lingered. I stared in frozen silence. This wasn't supposed to be possible. Admin had said it 100 times. The outer walls are reinforced with layered alloys, pressure sealed. Nothing could get through, nothing. But something had. I crept closer, breath held. Outside the hole, in the vast darkness, were shapes. Dozens of eyes, dimly glowing, watching, waiting. I stepped back, tripped, scrambled to my feet and ran. I cut through parking lots, maintenance yards, back alleys. Every light flickered, every shadow stretched too long. My legs burned, my vision doubled. Every breath was fire. The figure followed. I never heard it run, never saw it move. But it was always closer. The oxygen was nearly gone from my lungs. My head pounded, my fingers tingled, my knees wobbled. I was losing strength, losing air. I reached my house. Keycard in, door slammed, lock engaged. I collapsed to the floor, choking on shallow breaths. Black spots bloomed at the edge of my vision. Then I heard it, a clicking sound. Inhuman. Wet. Rhythmic. I looked up and saw it at my window. The porch light illuminated everything. It wasn't a man. Its face was stretched, mouth too wide, limbs too long, skin pale and tight. It raised an arm, fingers opened into claws, bone white, serrated. I couldn't move, I couldn't breathe, and then it swung. Glass erupted inward, the alarm shrieking instantly. Atmospheric breach. Emergency detected. Red strobes lit the room in jagged flashes. I was already on the floor, too weak to crawl, too weak to scream. My chest convulsed with shallow, useless gasps. Through the blur, I saw it, too long, too pale, framed in broken glass. It raised its arm again, claws scraping the sill. The alarm wailed louder. Sirens cut through the night outside. Then everything smeared into black. When I woke later, they told me the breach was contained, that nothing got in, that I'd just collapsed from oxygen loss. But I know what I saw at that window. And I know this. We were never safe in here. Not then, not now.